Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. What a gorgeous day, too. It's so beautiful out there. I just love it when we have a beautiful day in the middle of winter. Okay, so glad you're here. I'm going to invite Marty so she can join us and help me through a little probably experienced. So we're inviting Marty Grant to join us, and I just want to make sure that you know if you hear things that we're talking about and you feel like you want to get more help, Marty can help you. Hi, Marty. How are you?
Hello, Tammy. Good. How are you?
That went a lot smoother. I'm great. Thank you. It went a lot smoother this time than it did last time. Thank
Look what
goodness.
fast little learners we are.
Yes. Okay, so sink to swim. We are syncing up together and syncing with your tools so that we can have a little bit of help when we face those trigger moments or those hard
Yeah.
moments facing breast cancer. So the scenario for today, and I am sure all you breast cancer friends out there have experienced this one, and here it is. You are at the doctor's office. Here's a very specific version of this. You are at your treatment for chemo and they've accessed your port, they've drawn your blood, they're running your labs, and you are waiting in the exam room and you are just sitting there. You know it's going to be a little while before they get those labs done, before the doctor can come in and talk to you and let you know what your labs look like and if you can even do your chemo treatment. And you're just sitting there, you're worried about what your labs are going to say. Maybe you know that your white blood cell count is low, and you know if it's too low, then you won't get to have your treatment that day. And then what does that mean for fighting your tumor or your cancer? And so all these thoughts are going through your head, and you do have a means of distraction. You have your phone with you, but it seems like you get on your phone and your brain's just racing and you can't even focus enough to read something on your phone or go on social media or answer your texts. You're trying, but it's just not doing the trick because your brain power is going towards the what ifs. And it's a long wait, and you're staring at the pictures on the wall. Thank goodness they have gorgeous pictures on the wall. And yeah, so that's the scenario. It could be
And
lots of different doctor's offices, but that's a very specific version.
yeah, yeah. And that's intense. Um, so I've got a couple things for that. In moments, times of my life when the anxiety has been the highest, when it's like you're saying, my brain is just racing, heart pounding all day long. So not even isolated to just sitting in a doctor's office, just kind of like day long, week long, constant high anxiety, mind racing kind of a situation. Um, what it, one of the things that really helped me was to be like, okay, brain, if you just have to be running, if you've just got to be, constantly chattering, I'm going to give you what you're going to say.
I love
And so for me, it was right now, I am okay. There were all sorts of things about the future that I was worried about. Not even super long-term future. Like I'm outside right now, what's going to happen when I walk back in the house? Um, but just constantly over and over and over again, repeating in my mind, well, right now I am okay. Right now I am okay. Right now I am okay. And I would just repeat that in my mind over and over and over again. That's definitely an in the moment coping kind of a thing. If if you want something deeper, some homework to prepare for those appointments, whether you're going in for a treatment, whether you're going, for a checkup, whatever it is, I can give you some homework that'll help you prepare for those moments.
Great.
Because part of what's going on is the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
You're going to hear me say it a lot. The brain's job is just to keep you alive. It is just to keep you safe. And one of the ways that the brain judges safety is actually just by familiarity. That's why a lot of times people will stay in a toxic or an unhealthy situation because that's familiar. And so that's what the brain registers as safe, even if it's not a good situation. So it's the unknown that freaks us out. If you were laying there and you already knew that your white blood cell count was too low and that you weren't going to get to have your treatment, you'd be planning what to do about that instead of sitting there wondering and freaking out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And planning,
your brain would have something to do.
Yes. And planning, even if it's for something unpleasant, planning is a lot more comfortable than worrying about the unknown.
Right.
Right.
I totally get that.
So the homework would be, before you go to these appointments, take a minute to ask yourself, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Well, my blood cell count might be too low and I wouldn't get to have my treatment. Okay, if I don't get to have my treatment, what's the worst that can happen? Well, we're going to have to do things in the meantime to get my white cell blood count back up, and I'll be stressed about not getting to have my treatment, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, go through all the what ifs. Go through and plan. Well, if it's this bad news, I'll do this. If it's this bad news, I'll do this. That's not being morbid. That's planning ahead. And that will actually reduce the anxiety. Because even if you go all the way to death, well, I might not ever get to have treatments ever again, and my cancer might take over, and eventually I'll die. Even think through that. Mm-hmm. It sounds intense, but it honestly takes the edge off, because it's the unknown that freaks the brain out.
It's so true, yeah. And I've had to go there lots of times, like, okay, that might actually happen. This, death does happen to all of us, whether we have cancer or not. But it could be more in my immediate future with cancer, right? So yeah, I get that. It's just not the unknown anymore. So because you've thought about it, it's not so scary. But I have to say,
well, and we all know that we're going to die, but honestly, we still kind of leave that in the abstract. And so taking the time to actually think about it, like I said, can take the edge off, because then it's not the unknown. It's just a possible option.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like that option, but I know what I'll do about it.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I have to share one quick experience, because when you said when your brain's freaking out and it's going crazy, give it something to think about, it totally reminded me of this experience that I had when we were hiking through some slot canyons down in southern Utah.
Cool.
And I'm very claustrophobic. I don't know why we were doing this, but I wanted to be able to do it, okay?
Yeah.
And we had taken our family through one slot canyon, and it wasn't that bad, and I was okay, but to get back to the car, we had to go through another one. We got lost in the meantime, but that's another story. We joined up with all these people because we were all lost. We found the slot canyon that we needed to go through, but we had to kind of go down into the slot canyon, and it was like tight, and I'm claustrophobic, and darkness makes it worse. And so I just said, everybody else, you go first. Just go ahead, go first. And then super helping everybody down into the Sauk Canyon. They were the only ones behind me. And I said, please wait before you go. After I go, just give me some space. I just need space. Even if it's only behind me and in front of me and not next to me. And so they did. And I sent Josh and my boys and Scarlett ahead of me. And I went down and I was freaking out. I mean, I had to go down these tight turns while I was going down. And this was just like my nightmare. I'm like, why am I doing this? But I have to get back to my. I mean, there's so many parallels here to cancer. I did not want to have a port. I did not want to have a mastectomy. I did not want to have chemo. You know, none of it. But, you know, you just have to do what you have to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
And after I got through that tight part, I was in tears. And my brain, I was just amazed that my brain did this thing. And it started, I was talking out loud and I was telling myself, this is where Josh went. This is where I want to go. And I was sobbing, but I was saying it out loud. This is where Josh went. This is where I want to go. This is where Josh went. This is where I want to go. And he could hear me. You know, he was up ahead, but, you know, it's a slot canyon. You can hear everything. And he heard me sobbing and he said, keep going, Cammie. You can do it. Keep going. Oh, it's just making me emotional. Just think about it. Think about my life the last 2 years. And he started cheering me on, and that gave my brain something to do. So it was distracted, and it was basically commanding myself to move forward. So anyway.
Well, and I feel like that ties into what we talked about last week too. You were giving yourself verbal encouragement as though you were a person outside the situation encouraging yourself. Just like we talked about last week, if you're triggered, to be like, hey, it's okay. That was awful. You're not in that moment anymore. We're not on our way there. There's so much power in the word. Like the foundation of Christian and Judaism and even Muslim culture, like there's, even if you're not religious, there's so much foundation from our culture in the early books of the Bible. But when John describes how the world was created, he says it's the word. There is so much power in our words, and we can use them to influence our own bodies and brains as we get through these difficult times. So I love that you were verbalizing it out loud, that you weren't just thinking in your head. That is powerful too, but that you were saying out loud, this is where Josh went. This is where I want to go.
Yeah. Thank you. I love how that all together. That was a crazy, hard experience. Obviously, I lived through it, just for anybody that's wondering. I did make it out. It took probably, I want to say, like 15 minutes to walk all the way through it. And then there's a whole other story getting back to the car. That was crazy, but it's amazing how my brain just automatically did that. And now hearing what you're telling me, that was the right thing to do. So good job, brain.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and just like I mentioned, everybody, if you want to go deeper, if you want to talk through these things with Marti, tell us again, Marti, how they can get a hold of you and set up a time with you.
Yeah, so there's a place where you can just schedule a free call with me on my website. It's martigrant.com, MartiGrant, Grant, martigrant.com. Free consultation call, then we can talk about what you need and how I can help you with that. I have a lot of tools that we can use, and man, I just have to tell you, having recovered myself from tremendous amounts of trauma, life is so much better and freer on the other side of getting the help and the support you need to heal.
That's awesome. Thank you, Marti. Appreciate that. And of course, if you have questions for us, or if you're wanting to get a hold of Marti or me, just comment or send us a message. Also, if you have a scenario that you want us to go through, comment message us and we will talk about that. You can also find these videos on our YouTube channel. What's the YouTube channel? Is it Pink Sync? I think you have to go to
It's
Pink
Pink Sync.
and then
Yeah, it's Pink Sync.
and then go to Sink to Swim has a playlist, so you can see these there. All right, you guys, have a wonderful Tuesday. Sync up, you're strong, you can do this. This is where you want to go.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.